What's up, everybody? I know there's a Game 7 going on right now, so I appreciate you hanging out tonight, even though there's really good sports on. It's the start of the NBA season, which, some of you are excited about. I know I am. Honestly, although my team doesn't start till tomorrow, I'm excited about that. So the NBA season has begun tonight. You've got a Game 7 going on right now. There's actually a college football game going on right now as well. This is the best time of year. As a sports fan, if we're being honest, this is the best time of the year. This and then Masters Week, honestly, are my top two. This time of year, man, baseball, basketball, football, all that. I love it, and I'm glad you guys are here despite it. So my name is Michael Borky, of course. Glad that you are with me. Please like the video, subscribe if you have not already. And a couple things to talk about. I have been thinking about this all day, kind of teased it a little bit on the radio show. We're going to talk about that some tomorrow. Some kind of getting a feel for what you guys think about this here. How about that? Is Vanderbilt a trap game for Ole Miss? And is Auburn a must-win for Mississippi State? That is kind of the theme of the night. Memphis Rebel, I see that political comment, and I appreciate you being here. You know that, as always. I'm not going to get into that, but here's something I do have to address, by the way, because somebody asked me, and it's totally fine, by the way, but a completely appropriate question. I do not control the ads that show up on my page. There is no endorsement on my end of any political candidate ever. It will never happen. I will never endorse one candidate or another. I will never talk politics with you. It's not going to happen. I will never do it. I do not control the advertising on YouTube. I have no choice. Whatever shows up, shows up. I think a lot of it is based on like your location and stuff like that. So I was asked how much a particular political candidate is paying me to be on this channel. $0, nothing. I wouldn't. Even if I was offered the opportunity, regardless of who it is. So just so you know, and I know somebody asked about it. If you guys are wondering why there are political ads on my videos, it's not me, and I have not and will not endorse a candidate for the governor's race in Mississippi. I will not do it. It's out of my control. So there you go. Is Mississippi State season still alive? Yes, it is. It depends on. Well, honestly, it depends on what your definition of still alive is. Yes, they can still make a bowl game this year. Absolutely, they can. Auburn's a winnable game, although they are a touchdown underdog in that game. Obviously, Southern Miss is a very, very winnable game. I think Kentucky being at home gives them an opportunity. Kobe, I think that you would agree with me. I think all State fans thinking rationally would agree with me that right now, if you had to pick who would win the Egg Bowl, everybody thinking clearly would pick Ole Miss. Now, any given Saturday, in this case Thursday, I know college football gets kind of weird sometimes, and weird things happen. But yes, their postseason hopes are absolutely still alive. 100% they are. But it kind of starts this weekend, does it not? So my quick thought on both of those concepts, and then I'll read your messages for the next little while. Is Vanderbilt a trap game for Ole Miss? Yes, in the technical sense of the definition. So after a road game, a tough road game that was kind of weird, Sandwiched in between that and Texas A&M and Georgia sits Vanderbilt, and that is a perfect situation. That is a perfect setup for a trap game. The spot on the schedule for Vanderbilt is ripe for a trap. We saw it happen in North Carolina this weekend. They lost to Virginia. I mean, things happen. Like I said, weird things happen in college football. And I do think, based on listening to Lane Kiffin's press conference, it certainly sounds like he's kind of anticipating a team that's not going to be as fully engaged in this one as they are the two that follow. If that makes sense, totally understandable. By the way, you're not going to get a team's best every single week. That's just not a realistic expectation. It's not. But call me crazy. I think this is a 2-outcome game. We talk about it on the radio show, some 4-outcome games, and in this context, it's Ole Miss heavy favorite, or excuse me, Ole Miss blows out, Ole Miss wins close, Vanderbilt blows out, Vanderbilt wins close. And sometimes it's, well, is this a 4-outcome game? Is this a 3-outcome game? And stuff like that. I understand that sometimes just weird things happen in college football. And I also understand that Lane Kiffin hasn't exactly dominated Vanderbilt. Now, they won by a bunch last year, but they were losing at halftime. Vanderbilt's not a team that he's just kind of, taken out back and just beaten down and buried into the ground. It's for a lot of reasons for each game. It's just kind of been, uninspiring. And again, that's okay. Just win is all that really matters in games like this. But I only see this as a 2-outcome game. I would be truly, genuinely shocked beyond measure if Ole Miss loses this game when you consider kind of how they've been battle tested and how they've overcome weird starts and games in weird spots and stuff like that. I would, even this Vanderbilt team is not what Virginia was to North Carolina. I like Clark Lee. I think they're going to be coached fine. I know they've got a really good wide receiver. There's a defensive lineman that they have that I like. Quarterback plays okay, but frankly, they're very, very, very bad. So, in the denotation of trap game, yeah, sure, it is one. But I don't think that this is the kind of game where you should be worried that they can slip up and lose. For a lot of reasons, a lot of which being the current state that Vanderbilt's in. I don't foresee that being a concern for this team. The talent gap, the coaching gap, the discrepancies between the two, the veteran leadership on Ole Miss's team, I don't think will allow them to fall into such a trap. But the spot on the schedule certainly lends to that. On the flip side, is this a must-win game for Mississippi State? I asked a question earlier today on the show if the win over Arkansas has kind of calmed everything down in Starkville, because I said it to you guys for sure that I thought that winning this game would kind of quiet some of the noise down and calm everything down, and Zach Arnett would then be okay, and just everything would just kind of relax and everybody could just breathe a little bit. That's not at all how the reaction has been, quite frankly. I mean, fans are happy with the win. Of course they are, but it wasn't a pretty one in particular, and they are acknowledging the current state that Arkansas is in. That one win has done nothing to satisfy the fan base at large based on the sample size that I have. So, yes, I do think that they have to turn around and beat Auburn to actually make that phenomenon exist, where they do start relaxing and changing their mind about leadership of the program and things like that. Just beating Arkansas didn't do it. And you've got an Auburn team that just had, at least their head coach anyway, had a really emotional loss. And their offense is pathetic, quite frankly. And going to Jordan Hare is a little bit, it's not a little bit difficult. It's really difficult usually, but it's a day game. I wouldn't expect the stands to be full. A fan base that's kind of a little, not checked out, but a little frustrated with the goings on. It's a game that got buried in plain sight at 2:30 on the SEC network. So you may not get the atmosphere that you got last week from that stadium. And It's a coach reeling emotionally with an inept offense and a venue that's not going to be as difficult as it usually is. This is a game that, if Mississippi State is going to right the ship and get everybody back on board and believing in the direction of the program, you do have to win this game. I think losing to this version of Auburn, if you're Zach Arnett, is going to be a hard pill to swallow. And then you've got Kentucky, who certainly is not bad by any stretch. You do get them at home, but still, and then you have to go to College Station and still play a top 15 Ole Miss. So yeah, I think if you're going to get back to a bowl game and really truly um actually calm stuff down, and you got to win this one. So this Michigan scandal keeps growing now outside of the Big Ten. I wonder what the end result is going to be. The NCAA is definitely targeting Harbaugh for challenging them, similar to Freeze. But man, they got caught red-handed with this. That's the thing. I mean, the sheer stupidity of this and the years of it. And I'm not disputing that. Maybe the NCAA is motivated to get him after he kind of mocked them earlier this year and in the process with the other stuff that they're investigating with Michigan. But the volume of stupidity that went into this scheme being what it is and being caught red-handed, the way they've been caught is, I think that punishment needs to be handed down. I think the Big Ten and the NCAA actually needs to be harsh about this because two things. Also, number one, there are too many people that are saying things like, well, just change your signs. Just change your signs. Okay. You know how intricate signs are. And you are telling a football team of 85 players and technically 10 coaches, but a lot more, 12 times to change their signs over a 13-week period. You are telling them to change their signs to where they can't be picked up illegally 12 times? That's a ridiculous ask. I know during the course of games, you should do things to mask your signals, but there has to be some consistency with what you call to not confuse your players on a weekly basis. And you when you don't know that you are being illegally, and I use that in quotes because it's not against the law, it's against NCAA rules, two different things, but you don't expect to have somebody, a future opponent, recording your sidelines and then making a laminated sheet with all of your signals on it to watch you call plays and then tell the defensive coordinator what play's coming. That is not gamesmanship. That is not something that you can protect against without the knowledge that is possible. And since it was against the rules, Big Ten teams and others now apparently could not have adequately protected themselves because they didn't expect somebody to be so egregiously breaking the rules. I think people are kind of too just dismissive of, oh, what's the big deal? The guy had a laminated play sheet of all of your signals on it, and no, you can't change those on a weekly basis. He had it laminated in his hand on the sideline, clear as day. You could see it. And when they would make calls, he would relay that right next to the defensive coordinator. It was an elaborate scheme involving their entire conference and schools that they would possibly face in the college football playoff. And the absolute moron used his real name, timed it up on his public Venmo page to where you could be easily tracked. And very clearly, other coaches, including the defensive coordinator at Michigan, I would venture to guess that it's not venture to guess. Harbaugh clearly knew what was going on. Let's not be stupid about that. I think that is worthy of significant punishment. I do. There are some people. One of my coworkers is like, I can't figure out what the big deal is. I mean, this is brazen, open, blatant arrogance from Michigan, doing it in ways that, if you believe other coaches, that they haven't seen before. I think that they should be harshly punished. Not the players, not the team, the people, the coaches involved should be harshly punished, and Michigan should be find in a way that hurts. Not $100,000, $10 million. Make it hurt. This is if I'm the leadership at the Big Ten, I'm embarrassed by this. It's really just stupid and brazen. And also, there's a quick fix to this: put the microphones in the quarterbacks' helmets, and then you end this forever. It's ridiculous that college football hasn't had this already. But man, I'm not outraged or whatever, but I do think the people need to be punished. It's ridiculous, and it's objectively hilarious, though. Honestly, it is really, really funny that the only team, literally the only team that Michigan did not, and I use quotes again, illegally scout was the one that beat them in the college football playoff last year. That is funny. That is funny. You say Kiffin needs to stop going for it on fourth down. No analytics say to take 4th and 4 on your own 45 rather than knowing the other team will get it at the 9. Well, do you know that, though? Do you know the other team's going to get it at their own 9? Ole Miss is bad, frankly, at putting the football. And, yeah, analytics actually do favor going for it on 4th and short around the 50. Ole Miss makes, 75% of their fourth downs. That's actually been a pretty favorable decision for them this year. Yeah, it's actually been a favorable decision. Did I ever listen to the War Damn Eagle podcast where they said Thorne was on the same level, if not better? No, I didn't. If you've got a link, send it to me because I want a good laugh because that is among the dumbest things that anybody could have possibly said where they recorded it and put it out for other people to hear. I mean, I've said dumb things. Like, we don't bat 1,000. I certainly don't bat 1,000. I get things wrong all the time. But it takes an absolute absence of rational thought to think that Peyton Thorne is better at playing quarterback than Jackson Dart. So I wouldn't consider a Vandy trap game. Arkansas fit that mantra better, in your opinion, especially coming off of LSU. Yeah, that makes sense. No, for Ole Miss defense travels. The only struggle you can see is the offense. So you expect something somewhat similar to last year's game, probably. The Ole Miss Vandy game is one day off of October 29th, which is the day Chucky Mullins got hurt. Oh, wow. I did not know that. You predict Ole Miss to wear powder blue helmets, navy jerseys, and gray pants. I did not know that it was that close. Yeah, I hope so. That is a tragic and yet truly inspiring story. 38-17 with a Vandy cover sounds about right. Yeah, where it's like an early struggle where it's like 17-10 or whatever in the first half, and then the second half, Ole Miss gets the ball and they give it to Judkins 5 times and they score, and then they get a quick 3 and out, and then they score again, and then the game's kind of over, something like that. Looks like I was right a few weeks ago. Ole Miss needs to beat Georgia in 3 weeks and pray they go to the title game and win again to make the playoff. They have 5 one-loss teams ahead of them. But usually, man, those things kind of work themselves out, don't they? I mean, you saw it with North Carolina. Teams are going to lose in front of them. It will happen. I think if they end the season 11-1, they'll make the playoff. I really do believe that is the case. I also, frankly, I don't think that they're going to go 11-1. But if they do, if I'm wrong and they do, then yeah, I think that they will make the playoff, regardless of if they go to the SEC championship or not. You've already heard Ole Miss is wearing powder red gray, and there's a chance Realtree is coming next week for the 12 combo thing. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Now, I could see Vandy covering because Ole Miss gives Spencer and Walker some reps to slow down effectiveness. At this point, though, why would you give Spencer Sanders reps? I mean, other than to just throw him a bone. But if you have the game under control, why would you not exclusively give those snaps to Walker Howard? I mean, he's the one that's going to be on your roster next year. What do I think of Ole Miss so far? I think they are a good team. And they're finally getting healthy on offense. They haven't been fully healthy with their starting 11 really all season because Priestcorn didn't start because he was injured the first few games, and then Trey Harris got hurt, and then Watkins got hurt. And Watkins played a little bit. I wouldn't play him Saturday, frankly. I would just let him sit Vanderbilt and continue to get healthy. But I think that they are very capable. I think they are capable of beating anybody in the country when they put it all together. My concern about Ole Miss right now is the fact that they have not really put it all together yet, which can be good and bad. It's both things can be true at once. It demonstrates team that has good leadership. Most importantly, good leadership at the most important position on the field. You're very good at quarterback. You create havoc on defense with sacks and tackles for loss and turnovers. They're a good team with the possibility of being a great team when they put it all together. They just have not done that yet, which is a good thing because they're resilient and they've battled through it. But if they start 2 weeks the way they did Auburn, they're going to lose to Texas A&M if they have that sloppy of a first half. So it's a good team, very clearly a good team. I think that their ranking at the moment is appropriate. There's a chance that they can be a great team. Just got to put it all together. The money Ole Miss is paying Sanders, who will probably never see the field, should that money have gone to Keon Coleman. Hindsight's always 20/20 on stuff like that, but if Spencer Sanders never plays, then, it is frankly fair to wonder if that money was simply wasted. But I mean, what you got out of that deal is he's on your sideline instead of Auburn's. And if Jackson Dart would have gotten seriously hurt in the Arkansas game, you would have had a 43-game starter coming in behind him. So the insurance policy is there or was there. So, I've criticized it before. The money that they're paying him makes absolutely no sense. I think that part of it is a waste. Him being on the roster makes sense, but I've especially now. I mean, that money could have gone to an offensive lineman, maybe. I don't know, but if Jackson Dart gets hurt this week, it'll be worth it. Kind of odd that this is the last regular meeting between Ole Miss and Vanderbilt. It's not an intense rivalry, but they've played about 100 times. Yeah, it's the Khaki Bowl or whatever people call it. Vanderbilt always plays Ole Miss hard. Expect the same this year. Clark Lee's a good coach and coming off of a bye as well. They'll be up and ready to play, and Ole Miss won't be up. I'm sure they'll be adequately prepared schematically, but emotionally, I don't know if they're going to be as ready as Vanderbilt is. But anyway, yeah, David, great minds think alike, man. You consider under 43.5 free money for State Auburn? Absolutely. That doesn't make any sense. Who is scoring, especially since Rodgers will be out again? That's a great question because Auburn cannot exploit Mississippi State's defensive weakness, which is the secondary. It's the back end of their defense. Auburn can't exploit that, at least not consistently anyway. So where is the 43.5 points coming from? I love that under. That's a very fishy line, honestly. That one, man, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand it. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 17-10 kind of game, a real slog. You'd argue Auburn's receivers are even worse than Thorne. Yeah, they literally have no one, no separation, no guy that'll go up and get the football and make plays for you. They're very bad. Very, very bad there. You're not sure State can beat Auburn at home. State will have to score more than 7 to win for sure. Absolutely. Unfortunately, you don't think State has the offense to win at Auburn. I think it would be much different if Rodgers was playing. Yeah. Because Auburn's defensive front's actually pretty disruptive and pretty good. Mike Wright's got to be, and he was like 8 of 12 or whatever, but I mean, you guys saw what I saw. He's got to be better than he was this past Saturday if they're going to go win that game. You're not a Michigan defender. You think they should face punishment. I just don't know if this is as big of a scandal if Michigan hadn't already had run-ins with the NCAA. Probably not, but the sheer stupidity of it is why it's such a popular and ripped apart thing. I mean, just the callousness, the brazenness, having the laminated sheet that was caught on a television broadcast, doing all of this in your own name and all that is just so brazen and just so stupid. And that's making this a very popular scandal. And also there's a pompousness that comes with Michigan that people are enjoying, kind of giving them a taste of their own medicine, I assume. Not big on this fire everyone nonsense, but if Wright's starting and they go down there with more than 6 RPO plays, fire them all. So Michigan is not the moral juggernaut their fans and journalists think they are. Nope, they are not. You had schools like Tennessee and LSU who did wrong and got slaps on the wrist, for sure. For sure. And but the difference is, at least to me, it's going to sound crazy. Tennessee and LSU paid players. And I know LSU used a children's hospital charity in part to funnel money to players. That guy went to prison for that. But I don't think that players shouldn't have been paid, So I never found that morally objectionable. In fact, I thought restricting player compensation was morally objectionable. But when it comes to stuff like this, when you are actually cheating the game itself, when you are so brazenly doing that, it strikes me a little differently than a player getting some money, Wristbands like in baseball, or speaker in the helmet? Speaker in the helmet. I mean, hell, we already do that in college baseball. So people that are talking about cost I think it's a bit disingenuous, honestly, because in college baseball, we have communication between catcher and coach. And high school football teams use technology on the sidelines. And obviously they do it in the NFL. That's the easy solution when it comes to this, is just put the speaker in the helmet and you never have to worry about this again. Not in this capacity anyway. Ole Miss knew Auburn was going to have it at the 9 when they accepted the illegal participation penalty. They aren't 75% on 4th and 4 or more. Well, what is their percentage on 4th and 4 or more? I just, when you are as bad as they are punting, one, and even field goal kicking at this point, but that is one thing that they have been good at, is converting on 4th downs this year. I don't hate the aggression. Sometimes it can be reckless, but I mean, there's only one time really where I can think Lane was reckless going for it on 4th down, and that was in the Arkansas game a couple weeks ago. Just one time, too. Otherwise, I kind of get it. If I want to have fun, a fun read, take a look at the comments under the Hugh Freeze press conference yesterday. Those people are delusional. Oh, no doubt, man. Is Auburn really a must-win for state? For fan perception, it might be, but beat Kentucky next week and you're making a bowl. Yeah, but that's kind of a difficult ask, isn't it? Just go beat Kentucky. Well, if you can't beat Auburn, then who's to say that you're going to turn around and beat Kentucky? But yeah, for fan perception and program direction and stuff, because you don't forget, this is the time of year where recruiting's ramping up and they're trying to, raise funds and stuff like that. And if you kind of limp into an offseason and keep a coach that didn't, that wasn't able to beat this version of Auburn, then it's hard to get fans to invest their money, You don't think Kentucky is all that. They were just way up for Florida, who came out flat. Give me Tennessee over them this week. They dominate that series anyway. And the home team does, at least lately, dominate the state Kentucky series as well. Chase, I hope you had fun up there, man. I mean, at least it was an early game, so afterwards you guys got to have a blast, even though the game stunk. You went up there and won, right? Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Been seeing a lot of people hyping up LSU again as clearly a better team than Ole Miss. Those people are so stupid. I mean, it's just that's Saturday down south clickbait garbage. Just know that it's utterly meaningless and it's not taken seriously except for on Facebook. And it's ridiculous. On-field results matter. They do, and they always should. What happens on the field has to matter. Too many times in college football do we just kind of take liberties with, well, this team's better because, like, Vegas says they're better. What the hell does that even mean? Alabama, people try to do that about Alabama last year, and what happens on the field has to matter. And so if you are right now, still to this day, putting LSU ahead of Ole Miss in any ranking. You're just doing it to generate engagement. You're not a serious person, and your analysis should not be taken seriously. Auburn and State will be like 17-13 score. You pick who wins. Yeah, I think something like that. Very low scoring, very hard to watch. Imagine if a false start on State when that fumble score happens is the potential difference in a bowl appearance and Arnett keeping his job. Things can be so fickle sometimes. It's the best sport, isn't it? It is the best sport. If Michigan does not get a decent punishment for this, and then this will be 100% concrete proof that they don't react to and punish blue blood programs fairly. What's the precedent for this, though? That's kind of something that they're going to have to navigate, right? What's the precedent? Has anybody else been caught using technology to record entire sidelines of games of future opponents across your entire conference and multiple other conferences? So what's the guideline to punish something like this if you're the NCAA? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know. You got your masters at Vanderbilt and follow them in most sports. I'm going to tell you, Vandy feels like they can win this game, although I think they're crazy. I'll be there, but in the Vanderbilt box. Well, enjoy yourself, man. I hope you have a great time. The new update that they're doing to the stadium is going to be amazing. So I hope you and your friends up there are proud of that, because you should be. It's going to look great. If you were Kiffin, you'd give Watkins a week off. I would as well. I wouldn't play him this week. He's probably going to want to, but I wouldn't. Ole Miss A&M kicks off at 11. Who does that favor better for, if at all? A&M, I guess, just because, in the last couple of years, Ole Miss has done a good job of creating environments at 11 a.m., but everybody knows the deal. It's much different at 11 than it is 6:30. So I guess technically A&M, but not by much, honestly. But yes, if you had to pick one, that would be one. Someone proposed in front of you guys? Somebody, was it an Arkansas fan? I hope it was, because an Arkansas fan proposing at the 7-3 game that they lost. Oh, man, that is, that's a bad omen. That is not a good omen at all. Your assistant band director went to Iowa, and he agreed that State Arkansas was Big Ten football. Yeah, it was bad Big Ten football too, but hey, they won. And that's all that matters. Have to finish the season strong, starting Saturday with Vanderbilt, then A&M at 11 a.m. If Ole Miss gets both of those, then the Georgia game is massive. Anyone who's been paying attention already knows. And the thing is, I think Georgia is still, I've said this everywhere that I talk, which is a lot of places, that I think Georgia's just a free shot. That's all it is. I think it's a free shot. If you lose that game, it's still Access Bowl, 10 wins on the table, and that is a remarkable season. So the Georgia game is huge, but in a free shot context, in my opinion. I wouldn't look at it as huge with consequences if you lose. I think it's huge with upside if you win, but it doesn't change a whole lot if you lose. There's still a lot of things to play for, a lot riding on the remaining two games, even if you lose that one. So Ole Miss is worse than a team they beat because they beat Auburn by less than LSU. So does that mean Georgia's worse than LSU also? Yeah, it's nonsense logic. It's stupid. It's just stupid. Michigan is likely on their way to the playoff again. You think they beat Penn State and Ohio State? I kind of agree at this moment. So how would a punishment go down if they rule a verdict by December? I don't know, man. That's the thing. Is there any precedent for that? That's why they need to do this ASAP. It needs to happen right away. But I don't want the players to get punished. That's kind of the weird balancing act they've got to have here. Is I don't think the players deserve to get punished because they didn't. It's not. This wasn't their decision. It was their coaches doing something wrong. So, like a postseason ban, I don't think is particularly fair to the players. But I mean, you got to punish them somehow. You've got to levy a fine that's 7 figures. You got to force coaches to get fired and give them show causes. You've really got to do something about this. You can't just let this fly. If the NCAA truly wants to prove themselves superior than previous administrations there, they would bring down the hammer to some degree on Michigan. I agree. They've got to get some power back. They've got to prove their worth somehow. I promise you the rest of the Big Ten would be totally fine with this punishment being what it is. You think considering A&M is the last huge game at Ole Miss this season, the game will sell out anyways for even though it's 11? I agree, actually. Oh, no, the proposal was an Arkansas fan. That is brutal, proposing at the 7-3 game that you lose. That is brutal. 4 straight, quote, get up games in a row for Georgia starting this week. They are bound to give a clunker in one of them. Let's see what that is. So Georgia's got Florida, Missouri, Ole Miss. Wow, you are not kidding. And then Tennessee in Knoxville after that. I did not realize it was like that. Yeah, they're going to have to get the hell up for Missouri. No doubt about it. That is something. I mean, especially without Bowers now, that could get really interesting, right? I don't think they're invincible. Yes, they are better than every team remaining on their schedule, but I don't think they're invincible. They haven't proven that yet. Imagine if Ole Miss played their perfect game versus Georgia, then they can win that one. You wonder if Harbaugh's back in the NFL soon? Yeah, with the Saints, hopefully. I would take him tomorrow. I would take him to coach the Saints tomorrow. And I don't like Jim Harbaugh. I think he's goofy and he's kind of a clown, but he can coach. And I would take him over Dennis Allen tomorrow. I really would. So yeah, get him back in the NFL and get him to New Orleans. I'd take it. The proposal was right before KJ converted on 4th and 1 in the second half. You think, ooh, so they knew that the game was already bad? Ugh. Missouri will be an interesting test for Georgia. I'm curious to see what they look like this weekend without Bowers being the first test without him, because just expecting everything to be fine is, I understand why people do that, but I would like to see it first. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that without Brock Bowers, I saw somebody else say this today, and it's somebody with a much larger platform than me, so joke's on me, but this idea that, well, somebody that we don't know is just going to step up and be even better than we ever could have imagined now that Brock Bowers is out, I find a little crazy, honestly, because of how special Bowers is. He's not a guy that can just be replaced by somebody stepping up this week. I think that he is more unique than that. That diminishes the impact that he has on games and that he has on his team. Bowers is absolutely freaking special. Absolutely special. Meanwhile, the Titans are sending all their best players to Philly. Why do the Eagles get to fleece everybody in the NFL? It's ridiculous. Henry will be gone eventually. I agree with that as well. But why are people just giving in to the Eagles? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. Absolutely not. If Michigan gets punished, can Ole Miss recruit some of their players at the local IHOP? Oh, man, it wasn't just Harbaugh that came to Oxford and recruited Ole Miss players. One former LSU coach also did that as well. There's a story for you. I got to hang it up, guys. I got to go. I've got some things that I've got to take care of tonight, but I appreciate you always checking in. Thursday, it may not be live. I'll post a video at 7:45 either way, but it may not be live on Thursday. There's a Halloween event that I want to take my son to. So that might be what I'm doing on Thursday. So I will let you know. But either way, thank you guys. Like the video, all that. I appreciate you very much. I'm having a lot of fun with this. Hope you do as well. I'll see you in some capacity on Thursday. See you guys then. Have a great rest of your week.